Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international seminar on global peace, harmony, environment, health, well-being, and sustainable development 2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence. India's G20 presidency, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns, World Health Organization 75th anniversary. And also today we are commemorating International Day of Peace, and also 2023 is also the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and also the Convention on the Prevention of Punishment of Genocide, and various other commemorations. Today, on this occasion, we are organizing this seminar to disseminate information and share knowledge and information among us. So before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty. The registration link has been shared in the chat box. Those who have not yet registered can register. Those who have already registered, kindly ignore the link.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Today is commemorated as International Day of Peace, that is 21st September every year. The theme for 2023 is Actions for Peace, Our Ambition for the Global Goals. Each year, the International Day of Peace, in short known as IDP, is observed around the world on 21st September. The UN General Assembly has declared this as a day devoted to strengthening the ideals of peace through observing 24 hours of non-violence and ceasefire. Never has our world needed peace more. This year's theme is Actions for Peace, Our Ambition for the Global Goals. It is a call to action that recognizes our individual and collective responsibility to foster peace. Fostering peace contributes to the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and achieving Sustainable Development Goals will create a culture of peace for all. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, "Peace is needed today more than ever. War and conflict are unleashing devastation, poverty, and hunger, and driving tens of millions of people from their homes. Climate chaos is all around, and even peaceful countries are gripped by gaping inequalities and political polarization. 2023 marks the midpoint in the implementing of Sustainable Development Goals. The 2023 observance of the International Day of Peace coincides with the SDG Summit, 18th-19th September, to mark the midpoint milestone. The SDGs aim to bring us closer to having a more peaceful, just, and inclusive societies, free from fear and violence, but without the buy-in and contribution of a wide range of factors, including 1.2 billion young people alive. The goals will not be achieved. We invite you to join the United Nations call to take action for peace, fight inequality, drive action on climate change, and promote and protect human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of Genocide also is marked 75th anniversary in 2023. This IDP 2023 encourages all youth to be ambitious in their engagement as positive and constructive social agents, to join the movement to reach the Sustainable Development Goals and contribute to the building sustainable peace. Together, we can help to lead our world towards a greener, more equitable, just, and secure future for all. Peace begins with me. Let's watch a short video.
Peace, like a smile, is a language everyone understands.
When anger tries to bury me,
and the word spins into chaos,
I will remember that peace begins with me.
When the night engulfs the earth,
like the beautiful break of dawn,
the stellar rise of the sun,
I will remember
that peace begins with me.
Des années à fuir,
des années à espérer,
condamné à vivre
dans la guerre ou à s'exiler.
Pourtant, une fois on m'a dit,
la paix commence par toi petit.
Alors je choisis de donner pour mieux recevoir.
Close my eyes to better perceive. What would the world be if all hope was lost?
For peace is what you fight for.
C'est battre pour la paix.
Comme une bouteille à la mer, lancée en plein désert.
Moi, je propage un message de paix en temps de guerre.
Across identities and differences,
over countries and continents,
across colors
and cultures,
wars and sculptures.
It is not hard to choose peace.
Peace is a pen writing conviction.
Yet a pencil giving you a chance to start all over again.
If you choose peace,
choisir.
Choisir de garder la paix quand tout ce qu'on a connu c'est la guerre.
J'ai vu des gens venir de partout dans le monde,
laissant leur famille, leur confort.
Et quand je vois les engagements,
je me dis, j'y croirai jusqu'au bout. La paix, elle est fragile.
Mais ma dévotion est solide.
Je lui dédierai ma vie.
And just like that, I know that peace begins with me.
Si la paix commence avec moi,
alors le futur me surveille.
If peace begins with me,
then tell the world
I'm ready.
Peace begins with me, with you, with all of us. Today, millions of people are suffering immense harm from conflict. Their lives torn apart by death, destruction, and displacement. For 75 years, United Nations peacekeepers have worked to save and change lives and help countries navigate the difficult path from conflict to peace and progress. The first UN peacekeeping mission was deployed to the Middle East in 1948, where military observers serving with the United Nations Truce Supervision Organization continue to work today to help bring stability to the region. More than 2 million peacekeepers from 125 countries have served in 71 operations, making a tangible difference to people in need across the world. Africa, the Americas, Asia and the Pacific, Europe and the Middle East. Peacekeepers are ordinary people working in dangerous and difficult conditions to achieve extraordinary outcomes. Over the years, their mandates have helped prevent conflict, protect civilians, advance political solutions, promote human rights, support democratic processes including elections, build capacity of state institutions, and ensure that women and youth lead and participate in conflict resolution and peace processes. The conditions peacekeepers operate in are more hazardous today than ever. Peacemaking is harder amidst rising global political tensions. Conflicts are more complex, and the climate crisis is hitting war-torn communities even harder. A surge in disinformation is fueling violence against peacekeepers and our partners. The iconic blue flag is now a target of deliberate attack. Despite these challenges, peacekeepers persevere alongside many partners in the collective pursuit of peace. UN peacekeeping is a remarkable enterprise of multilateralism and international solidarity. But it cannot meet all needs and expectations. Today, peacekeeping is relentlessly working to be more progressive, innovative, and effective to succeed amidst new threats and mounting challenges. For 75 years, UN peacekeeping has served and supported millions of people caught up in catastrophic conflict. More than 4,000 peacekeepers have lost their lives serving under the UN flag. Their legacy and the courage and commitment of the 87,000 peacekeepers serving today inspires us and reminds us to take action, because peace begins with me, you, and all of us.
United Nations peacekeeping operations are deployed once the Security Council, the UN Security Council, authorizes the deployment of the mission. That happens, and a resolution is passed that enables us, we, the Secretariat, to pull together all the resources that we need, that the Council has authorized, to go off and complete the specific tasks that they've assigned us. So we go where they send us, which means that it's ultimately a question of the political will of the international community. In some ways, that's the great strength of UN peacekeeping, that we represent the political will and the legitimacy of the international community when we deploy. Each mission has its own mandate that is designed by the Council and by us to try to address the specific issues that are happening on the ground in each particular situation. So each mission is kind of its own universe in a way, but they fall into three basic categories, what we call Chapter 6, Chapter 7, and Chapter 8. Chapter 6 is sort of monitoring and observation. Sometimes we call it classical peacekeeping operations. It tended to be missions that were authorized in the 1960s and 70s and 80s. Chapter 7 is more peace enforcement, and Chapter 8 is in collaboration with other multilateral institutions that we authorize to perform the missions on our behalf. Peacekeepers themselves come from all over the world. There are over 150 countries that either participate or have participated in peacekeeping, and it breaks down into three basic categories of personnel: military, civilian, and police. Now, civilian is both international and national. Police can be both individual police officers or individual police monitors and formed police units, which are kind of like riot police. And militaries can be contingent personnel, so sort of infantry battalion type things, or other specialized units. And all of this is designed by the Council based on what the specific situation is on the ground. So different mandates, different chapters under which they're authorized by the Council, and different configurations, but all designed to do the same thing, which is to fulfill the tasks that are given to us by the Security Council to try to promote peace and security in the individual country that we are sent to. Now, this has happened about 70 times in the course of the last 7 decades or so, where the Council has authorized a peace operation to deploy. We have forces and personnel from over 150 countries, and the fact that we represent so much of the world is one of our great strengths, that we don't only represent the political will of the international community, but we physically are the manifestation of that will. Mandates end when its tasks are achieved or when it's decided that the mission is no longer needed. Most of the missions that have been authorized have closed. Most of the missions have closed successfully, and the missions themselves perform a variety of tasks, from protection of civilians to guaranteeing a political process or an electoral process, to doing what it can to ensure human rights and to help to protect delivery of humanitarian assistance and a variety of other things as designated by the Security Council. But the bottom line is that UN peacekeeping deploys when asked by the United Nations Security Council to try to promote peace and security in a particular context using forces that are given to us or basically lent to us by the international community themselves. It's a partnership, and it's a partnership that helps to protect civilians in some of the world's most dangerous places.
The International Day of Peace was established in 1981 by the United Nations General Assembly. 2 decades later, in 2001, the General Assembly unanimously voted to designate the day as a period of non-violence and ceasefire. The 2023 Sustainable Development Goals Summit takes place on 18th and 19th September, has taken place on 18th and 19th September 2023 recently during the United Nations General Assembly high-level week to follow up and review implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Member states will carry out a comprehensive review of the state of the SDGs, respond to the impact of multiple interlocking crises facing the world, and provide political guidance on transformative and accelerated action leading to the target year of 2030 for achieving the SDGs. So let's all get involved, embrace the possible. That's the call of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. A blueprint for a better world. We don't have to wait for the future we want. We can create it right now. Everyone can join the global movement for change. Act Now is the United Nations campaign to inspire people to act for the sustainable development. Unity is the heart of Sustainable Development Goals because achieving any single goal requires achieving them all. And this is only possible when people themselves, ourselves, unite for the change to give humanity and our planet a beautiful, sustainable future. We are stronger together, united in action. The past themes since inception portrays various efforts and topics covered as part of yearly commemorations. In 2011, the theme was Peace and Democracy, Making Your Voice Heard. 2012, Sustainable Peace for a Sustainable Future. 2013, Education for Peace. 2014, The Right of Peoples to Peace. 2015, Partnerships for Peace, Dignity for All. 2016, The Sustainable Development Goals, Building Blocks for Peace. 2017, Together for Peace, Respect, Safety, and Dignity for All. 2018, The Right to Peace, Universal Declaration of Human Rights at 70. 2019, Climate Action for Peace. 2020, Shaping Peace Together. 2021, Recovering Better for an Equitable and Sustainable World. 2022, last year, the theme was End Racism, Build Peace. Act now. Act for our common future. Embrace the possible. That's the call of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. A blueprint for a better world. We don't have to wait for the future we want. We can create it right now. Everyone can join the global movement for change. Act Now is the United Nations campaign to inspire people to act for the Sustainable Development Goals. The goals can improve life for all of us. Cleaner air, safer cities, equality, better jobs. These issues matter to everyone, but progress is too slow. We have to act urgently to accelerate changes that add up to a better lives on a healthier planet. What happens when millions of people act together for our common future? A lot join the campaign. We can take actions on various issues like a healthy planet, a just society, a world working together. Actions for a healthy planet, the Sustainable Development Goals spell out how we can protect our environment and slow climate change from forests to oceans to everywhere in between. Think about the electricity use and your travel. Check your dinner table, reuse whatever you can. The possibilities for actions are many and add up fast. And promote peace and harmony with nature and environment. Greenhouse gas emissions per person vary greatly among countries. In the United States of America, emissions in 2030, the latest available data were 14.6 tons of CO2 equivalent per person, more than double the average of 6.3 tons and 6 times the 2.4 tons per person in India. Here are some actions to reduce your impact on the environment. Save energy at home. Much of our electricity and heat are produced by coal, oil, and gas. Use less energy by reducing your heating and cooling use, switching to LED light bulbs and energy efficient electrical appliances, washing your laundry with cold water, or hanging things to dry instead of using dryer, improving your home energy efficiency through better insulation, for instance, or replacing all or your oil or gas furnace with an electric heat pump can reduce carbon footprint by up to 900 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per year. Change your home source of energy. Ask your utility company if your home energy comes from oil, coal, or gas. If possible, see if you can switch to renewable sources such as wind or solar, or install solar panels on your roof to generate energy for your home. Switching your home from oil, gas, or coal-powered energy to renewable sources of energy such as wind or solar can reduce your carbon footprint by up to 1.5 tons of CO2 equivalent per year. Walk, bike, or take public transport. The world roadways are clogged with vehicles, most of them burning diesel or gasoline. Walking or riding a bike instead of driving will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help your health and fitness. For longer distance, consider taking a train or bus and carpool whenever possible. Living car-free can reduce your carbon footprint up to 2 tons of CO2 equivalent per year compared to the lifestyle. Switch to electrical vehicle. If you plan to buy a car, consider going electric. With more and cheaper models coming on the market, in many countries, electric cars help reduce air pollution and cause significant fewer greenhouse gas emissions than gas or diesel-powered vehicles. But many electrical cars still run on electricity produced from the fossil fuels, and the batteries and engines require minerals which often come with high environmental and social costs. Switching from a gasoline or diesel-powered car to an electric vehicle can reduce your carbon footprint by up to 2 tons of CO2 equivalent per year. A hybrid vehicle can save up to 700 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per year. Consider your travel. Airplanes burn large amounts of fossil fuels, producing significant greenhouse gas emissions. That makes taking fewer flights one of the fastest ways to reduce your environmental impact. When you can meet virtually, take a train or skip that long distance trip altogether. Now there are a lot of possibilities like this. We are meeting virtually. So this reduces a lot of fossil fuel consumption and also avoids a lot of pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, because the same purpose is solved through virtual and online meetings. Taking one less long-haul return flight can reduce your carbon footprint by up to almost 2 tons of CO2 equivalent. Reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle. Electronics, clothes, plastics, and other items we buy cause carbon emissions at each point in production, from the extraction of raw materials to manufacturing and transporting goods to the market. To protect the climate change, buy fewer things, shop secondhand, and repair what you can. Plastics alone generated 1.8 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions in 2019, which is 3.4% of the global total. Less than 10% is recycled, and once plastic is discarded, it can linger for hundreds and thousands of years. Buying fewer new clothes and other consumer goods can also reduce your carbon footprint. Every kilogram of textiles produced generates about 17 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent. Eat more vegetables. Eating more vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, and less meat and dairy can significantly lower your environmental impact. Producing plant-based foods generally results in fewer greenhouse gas emissions and require less energy, land, and water. Shifting from a mixed or a non-vegetarian diet to a vegetarian diet can reduce your carbon footprint by up to 500 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per year, or up to 900 kilograms for a vegan diet. So go vegan to save climate and reduce your environmental impact and carbon footprint. Throw away less food. When you throw away food, you are also wasting the resources and energy that were used to grow, produce, package, and transport it, and also to prepare it. When the food rots in a landfill, it produces methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. So purchase only what you need, use what you buy, and compost any leftovers. Cutting your food waste can reduce your carbon footprint by up to 300 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per year. Plant native species. If you have a garden or even just a plant or two outside your home, check for the native species. Use a plant identification app to help, and then think about replacing non-natives, especially any considered invasive. Plants, animals, and insects depend on each other. Most insects will not eat non-native plants, which means birds and other species lose a food source by eating those plants. That's why they don't eat those plants to preserve their food sources. Biodiversity suffers. Even a single tree or shrub can offer a refuge. Just remember to skip insecticides and other chemicals. Clean up your environment. Humans, animals, and plants all suffer from land and water contaminated by improperly discarding garbage. Use what you need, and when you have to throw something out, dispose of it properly. Educate others to do the same and participate in local cleanups of parks, rivers, beaches, and beyond. Every year, people throw out 2 billion tons of trash. About a third causes environment harms, from choking water supplies to poisoning soil. Make your money count. Everything we spend money on affects the planet. You have the power to choose which goods and services you support. To reduce your environmental impact, choose products from companies who use resources responsibly and are committed to cutting their gas emissions and waste. If you have money that is being invested for you through a pension fund, for instance, this may be supporting fossil fuels or deforestation. Make sure your savings are invested in environmentally sustainable businesses. Can greatly reduce your carbon footprint. Speak up. Speak up and get others to join in taking action. It is one of the quickest and most effective ways to make a difference. Like this, talk to your neighbors, colleagues, friends, and family. Let business owners know your support. Bold changes from plastics-free products and packaging to zero-emission vehicles. Appeal to the local and world leaders to act now. Climate action is a task for all of us, and it concerns all of us. No one can do it all alone, but we have to do it together. As the growing climate change impacts are experienced across the globe, the message that greenhouse gas emissions must fail is unambiguous. Yet, the Emissions Gap Report, EGR 2022, the closing window climate crisis calls for rapid transformation of societies, finds that the international community is failing, far short of Paris goals, and no credible pathway to 1.5 degrees in place. Only an urgent system-wide transformation can avoid climate disaster. The EGR is the 13th edition in an annual series that provides an overview of the difference between where greenhouse emissions are predicted to be in 2030 and where they should be avoid the worst impacts of the climate change. The report shows the updated nation pledges since COP26 held in 2021 in Glasgow, UK, making a negligible difference to predicted 2030 emissions, and that we are far from the Paris Agreement goal of limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, preferably 1.5 degrees Celsius. Policies currently in place point to a 2.8 degrees temperature rise by the end of the century. Implementation of the current pledges will only reduce this to 2.4 to 2.6 degrees Celsius temperature rise by the end of the century. For conditional and unconditional pledges, respectively. The report finds that only an urgent system-wide transformation can deliver the enormous cuts needed to limit greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, 45% compared with projections based on policies currently in place to get a track or to 1.5 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees and 30% of 2.2 degrees Celsius. This report provides an in-depth exploration on how to deliver this transformation, looking at the required actions in the electricity supply, industry, transport, and building sectors, and the food and the financial systems. Climate crisis calls for rapid transformation of societies. The window is closing. The world is not on track to reach the Paris Agreement goals, and global temperatures can reach 2.8 degrees by the end of the century. The Emissions Gap Report 2022 finds that the world must cut emissions by 45% to avoid global catastrophe. Solutions to transform societies exist, but the time for collective multilateral action is now. Every fraction of a degree matters. Let's watch a short video. Now, to be in peace and harmony with the nature and environment, and also to combat the climate change effect, let's all together act now. Look at certain aspects of energy conservation. Energy saved is energy produced. Let's look at few more points for climate action in the aspects of home energy, how we can contribute. We use a lot of energy in our homes and commercial buildings. In fact, studies show that energy supply sector accounts for 35% of global emissions. The largest contributor to global greenhouse gas emissions. This is mainly because most countries still rely on fossil fuels for energy, and buildings and homes consume a lot of energy in the form of heating and cooling, among others. When we burn fossil fuels to produce electricity, carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, which leads to climate change. When it comes to reducing the global average individual carbon footprint from 6.3 tons 2020 to 2.1 tons in 2030, as recommended by experts, home energy is a significant area of opportunity to reduce energy usage at home and contribute to the climate action. Reducing heating and cooling. Heating and cooling our homes requires the most energy and significantly contributes to the global carbon emissions. We can reduce the energy burden by setting the thermostats to the lower temperature in the winter and setting it to a higher temperature in the summer. As an example, increasing the thermostat setting from 24 degrees to 28 degrees during the summer can reduce annual cooling energy use by more than a factor of 3 for a typical office building in Zurich, Switzerland. So check what temperature is your thermostat currently set at. Can you change it to a temperature that requires less energy? Warmer temperature in summer, colder temperature in winter. Switch to renewable resources. Most of our energy comes from fossil fuels today. When we burn fossil fuels for energy, carbon dioxide is released, leading to accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and the climate change. By switching to renewable energy, we can reduce our carbon footprint up to 2.5 tons annually. If you live in a house or have access to the roof, installing solar panels could be a great way to not only reduce carbon emissions, but also reduce energy bill costs in the long run. Many local energy providers also have ways to incorporate renewable energy for your household. Call or email your energy provider to find out how you can switch to more renewable sources. Is your household a candidate for solar panels? Does your energy provider have renewable energy options? Check out. Know your monthly energy consumption. Most people don't know what their monthly energy consumption is. And this is a great place to start because what gets measured gets changed. You can log into your energy provider to learn more about monthly usage and changes over time, or take a look at your energy bill. And start writing down or recording your energy usage in a place where you can easily see. So what's your energy consumption last month? In the last 12 months, which month had the highest energy consumption and which had the lowest? Save energy wherever possible. Besides healthy heating and cooling, appliances and lightings also consume a lot of energy. We can see or we can use less energy by lowering heating and cooling, switching to LED light bulbs and energy efficient. Improving your home's energy efficiency through better insulation, for instance, or replacing oil or gas furnace with an electrical heat pump can reduce your own carbon footprint by an average of 900 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per year. That's almost 1 ton. So where does your home have LED lights? Have you tried washing clothes with cold water and shortening wash cycles? Can you start hang drying laundry? Renewable energy is the power of future and saving future. So powering a safe future would be possible with renewable energy derived from the natural resources that are abundant and continuously replenished. Renewable energy is the key to a safer and cleaner and sustainable development world. Energy is at heart of the climate change and key to the solution. A large chunk of the greenhouse gases that blanket the earth and trap the sun's heat are generated through energy production by burning fossil fuels to generate electricity and heat. Fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas are the largest contribution to the global change. Climate change accounting for over 75% of the global greenhouse gas emissions and nearly 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions. The science is clear. To avoid the worst impacts of climate change, emissions need to be reduced by almost half of 2030. To achieve this, we need to end our reliance on fossil fuels and invest in alternative sources of energy that are clean, accessible, affordable, sustainable, and reliable. Renewable energy sources which are available in abundance all around us, provided by sun, wind, water, waste, and heat from the earth, are replenished by nature and emit little to no greenhouse gases or pollution into the air. Fossil fuels still account for more than 80%. Renewable energy sources are all around us. About 80% of the global population lives in countries that are net importers of fossil fuels. That's about 6 billion people who are dependent on fossil fuels from other countries, which makes them vulnerable to geopolitical shocks and crises. In contrast, renewable energy sources are renewable in all countries, and their In contrast, renewable energy sources are available in all countries and their potential is yet to be fully harnessed. The International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, estimates that 90% of the world's electricity can and should come from the renewable energy by 2050. Renewables offer a way out of import dependence, allowing countries to diversify their economies. Renewables offer a way out of important dependency, allowing countries to diversify their economies and protect them from unpredictable price swings of fossil fuels while driving inclusive economic growth and new jobs and poverty alleviation. Renewable energy is cheaper, actually the cheapest power in the most parts of the world today. Prices for renewable energy technologies are dropping rapidly. The cost of electricity from solar power fell by 35% by 2010 and 2020. Costs of onshore and offshore wind energy fell by 56% and 48% respectively. Cheap electricity from renewable sources could provide 65% of the world's total electricity supply by 2030. It could decarbonize 90% of the power sector by 2050, massively cutting carbon emissions and helping to climate change. Although solar and wind power costs are exempted to remain higher in 2022 and 2023 than pre-pandemic levels due to general elevated commodity and freight prices, their competitiveness actually improves due to much sharper increases in gas and coal process. Renewable energy is healthier. According to the World Health Organization, about 99% of the world breathe air that exceeds air quality limits and threatens the unhealthy levels of the fine particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide originate mainly from the burning of fossil fuels. In 2018, air pollution from fossil fuels cost $2.9 trillion on health and economic costs, about $8 billion a day, US dollars. Switching to clean sources of energy such as wind and solar thus helps address not only climate change, but also air pollution and nutrition. Every dollar of investment renewables creates 3 times more jobs than in the fossil fuel industry. The IEA eliminates that the transition word net zero commission will lead to an overall increase. And renewable energy makes economic sense. About US dollars 5.9 trillion was spent on subsidizing the fossil fuel industry in 2020, including through explicit subsidies, tax breaks, and health and environment damages that were not priced into the cost of fossil fuels. In comparison, about dollars more efficient, reliable, renewable technologies can create a system less prone to market shocks and improve resilience and energy security by diversifying power supply options. It's time to stop burning our planet and start investing in abundant renewable energy all around us. Healthy diets for a healthier planet. What does food have to do with the climate change? What we eat and how that food is produced affects our health and also our environment. Foods needs to be grown and processed, transported, distributed, prepared, consumed, and sometimes disposed. Of each of these steps creates greenhouse gases that trap the sun's heat and contribute to the climate change. About a third of all human-caused greenhouse gas emissions is linked to the food. The largest chunk of food-related greenhouse gases come from agriculture and land use. This includes, for instance, methane from cattle's digestive process, nitrous oxide from fertilizers used for the crop production, carbon dioxide from cutting down forests for the expansion of farmland, other agricultural emissions from manure management, rice cultivation, burning of crop residues, and the use of fuel and farms. The larger chunk of food-related greenhouse gases, as already seen from agriculture and land use. Carbon dioxide from cutting down forests for the expansion of farmland, other agricultural emissions from manure management, rice cultivation, burning of crop residues, and use of fuel on farms. A much smaller share of the greenhouse gas emissions of food are also caused by refrigeration and transport of food, industrial process such as production of paper, aluminum for packaging, and the management of food waste. Let's look at the foods that cause most greenhouse gas emissions. The climate impact of the food is measured in terms of greenhouse gas emissions intensity. The emissions intensity is expressed in kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalents, which includes not only CO2, but also all greenhouse gases per kilogram of food or per gram of protein or per calorie. Animal-based foods, especially red meat, dairy, and farm shrimp, are generally associated with the highest greenhouse gas emissions. That's why every time you consume meat and dairy products, you are contributing to the climate change and you are causing climate change impact. Meat production often requires extensive grasslands, which is often created by cutting down trees, releasing carbon dioxide stored in the forest. Cows, buffaloes, sheep, and all the cattle which are consumed as meat products emit methane as they digest grass and plants. The cattle's waste on pastures and chemical fertilizers used on crops for cattle feed emit nitrous oxide, another powerful greenhouse gas. Shrimp farms often occupy coastal lands formerly covering in mangrove forest, which absorb huge amounts of carbon. The large carbon footprint of shrimp or prawns is mainly due to stored carbon that is released into the atmosphere when the mangroves are cut down to create shrimp farms. That's why shifting to plant-based diets contributes a lot. Plant-based foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, peas, nuts, and lentils generally use less energy, land, and water and have lower greenhouse gas intensities than animal-based foods. Reducing emissions from the food sector requires changes at all stages, from producers to consumers, where appropriate shifting food systems towards plant-rich diets with more plant protein, such as beans, chickpeas, lentils, nuts, and grains, a reduced amount of animal-based foods, meat and dairy, and less saturated fats like butter, milk, cheese, meat, coconut oil, and palm oil can lead to significant reduction in greenhouse gas emissions compared to current dietary patterns in most industrialized countries. Alternative proteins such as plant-based meat and dairy substitutes, insect-based proteins, and cell-based cultivated meat provide promising prospects and are attracting growing demand, financial investment, and technological innovation. But still, plant-based diet stands apart from all. Animal products remain an important source of food security, nutrition, livelihood for large numbers of rural populations around the world. Improved feeds and feeding techniques can reduce methane generated during cattle's digestion, as well as the amount of gases released by the decomposting manure. Smaller herd sizes with fewer, more productive animals can also help. And better agriculture practices such as improved manure and fertilizer management, rotational grazing to maintain healthy soil to store carbon, and the restoration of degraded lands can significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But in practically, it has seen that this is not as desired. So that's why this animal agriculture or animal products remain the greatest cause of methane emissions and greenhouse gas emissions and contributing to the climate change. At the same time, reducing food waste is the key. Almost 1 billion tons of food, that is 17% of all food available to the consumers worldwide, goes into the trash bins every year. Producing, transporting, and letting that food rot contributes more than 8% of the global greenhouse emissions. If food waste were a country, it would be the third largest emitting country in the world. So what we can do? Eat healthier meals, start eating a more plant-based, plant-rich, balanced diet, one that provides energy and nutrients from several different food groups and reduce foods that are harder on our planet. Meat and dairy can be important sources of protein and micronutrients, particularly in lower income countries where diets lack diversity. But in most high income countries, shifting to more plant-based foods promotes better health and significantly lowers your environmental impact compared to the average meat-based diet. What you eat is much more important than how far that food has traveled or how much packaging it has. Transport and packaging typically account for only a fraction of food greenhouse gas emissions. And cutting down your food waste, think about how you buy, prepare, and dispose of food. When you throw away food, you are also wasting the energy, land, water, and the fertilizer that was used to produce, package, and transport it, and also the man hours or the woman hours or the working hours of human resources. Only buy what you need and use up what you buy, and don't shy away from buying imperfect looking fruits and vegetables. They might otherwise get thrown out. Stop the waste, save money, reduce emissions, and help preserve resources for future generations. If you need to throw out food, before that, consider sharing, distributing food to the needy, and try composting your leftovers, which can reduce the amount of methane and CO2 released by the organic waste. Try a sustainable recipe by leading ancient practices or the modern. Chefs have been very innovative in providing sustainable recipes, who are cooking up dishes that are not only delicious, but also good for you and the planet. Shop with a reusable bag. The production and use and disposal of plastics contribute to climate change. Instead of a plastic bag, use your own reusable bag and reduce the amount of plastic waste in our world. So be a food hero or heroine. Behind our food, there is always someone who produced, planted, harvested, fished, or transported it. These food heroes or heroines are helping to make sure that everyone, everywhere has enough affordable, safe, and nutritious food. Let's watch a short video.
Hi, I'm Chef Grace Ramirez, and I'm super passionate about sustainability. I know when you hear the word sustainable, it sounds very overwhelming. So let's break it down. I'm constantly traveling, cooking, and entertaining, but no matter where I am in the world, I try to make climate-conscious choices. For parties, I don't send paper invites, and I know there will be plenty of leftovers, so I ask my guests to bring their own reusable containers. Wherever I am, I shop locally, and I base my menu on what's available. Supporting neighborhood businesses keeps people in your community employed and cuts down on the energy consumption needed for goods to travel long distances. I shop at farmers markets for seasonal produce. There are many apps that will tell you what's in season, but if you don't have an app, no worries. Just head to your local market and see what's available. And ask questions. You might even make a new friend. Pass on the plastic bags and bring a reusable bag. Try avoiding packaged goods as much as possible. I love to walk or take public transportation. I now eat a more plant-based diet. A lot more veggies and less red meat. For my table setting, I upcycle. Flea markets and garage sales are great for finding linens and plates. I mix them with some very special pieces I've collected from my travels. Decorate the table with what's around you, either veggies or flowers that are in season, bought at the market, or even better yet, picked from your own backyard. Bamboo or compostable plates and cutlery were great for picnics or the kids' table. I never let food go to waste. Did you know that 1/3 of all the food produced in the world goes to waste? My leftover herbs go into delicious pestos. Freeze them in ice cube trays and use them over pastas, rice, and veggies. Plan your next day's menu utilizing what hasn't been consumed. For parties, I have 3 marked bins for recycling. I freeze everything that ends up in the compost bin. I have a post-party ritual of going to the farmer's market and handing back my compost. Check and see if your community has started composting. When we think about a sustainable future, we should be thinking about how to pass on these habits to the next generation. So mentor the young people in your life. It's a very powerful way to create a better future. Thanks so much for spending the day with me, my friends and family. I hope you had fun. I'm always delighted to share my green hacks and micro actions. From the food we eat to the clothes we wear, each of us has the power to confront the climate challenge. The UN's Act Now campaign empowers us all to think sustainably by making small, simple changes. Register your actions for a healthier planet and a better future.
Hello, my name is Jonas and I'm from Majers Madhus on Nørrebro in the capital of Denmark, Copenhagen. We support the United Nations Act Now climate campaign because if we get food right, we get sustainability right. Join the movement by sharing your sustainable food recipes on social media. Use #ActNow and #ClimateAction. We've done a wonderful Sunday roast for you, all vegetables alongside some very great and tasty condiments. Different types of cauliflower, a bit of broccoli, and some wonderful celeriac, and then, of course, a bit of bread.
Let's act for a just society. Just societies realize human rights, leaving no one behind. That's the central promise of the Sustainable Development Goals. Everyone should have enough food and quality healthcare and education. All kinds of discrimination must end. Daily life is where a just society begins. In all you do, be fair, be kind, be generous. Stand up for gender equality. Hire a woman for the same wages as a man. Tell everyone you know that justice is impossible without gender justice. Be proud to be the feminist. Stand up for the LGBTQI rights. Challenge stereotypes in the media. Refuse to use gender-biased language. Every life is full of options to advance gender equality, all of which are needed and more. At current rates of progress, it will take not just years, but centuries to close all gender gaps. Keep in mind, no country has achieved gender equality. Be informed about your country's track record and join advocates calling for faster change. Teach children about equality. Children pick up ideas about the world literally from the day they are born. Be a good role model for equality and fairness in how you speak and behave. Children will mimic what you do. Listen to the children and encourage them to think about how others might look or live differently. Monitor social and other media and even books and toys to avoid those perpetrating gender, racial, or other stereotypes. Be mindful that gender stereotypes can be limiting for boys as well as the girls. Sponsor a scholarship. If you have the means, even a small amount, fund a scholarship to help a struggling child complete their education. You can also work with your employer to raise funds or even adopt a crowdfunding approach. You might choose to fund general education or pick up a topic close to your heart like music or science. Top off your financial generosity by giving some time as well. Meeting with scholarship recipients can help mentor them and let you see firsthand the impacts of generosity. Fundraise for schools. Organize a fundraiser for schools in your own community or elsewhere that are struggling to keep with the students' needs, including for online learning. If your own children have extra school supplies, uniforms, or digital devices, find a way to donate them. Explore an educational exchange that might link your local school to one in another country so children can learn from support each other. Most children in the world today go to primary school, but 1 in 4 schools lack basics like electricity and drinking water that are essential for quality learning. Half of all global learners do not have a household computer. Support a food bank. Hunger is on the rise. Even as a third of food produced for human consumption ends up being tossed out as a waste. Make a commitment to zero food waste in your own kitchen, including regularly donating excess canned and pantry items to a local food bank. Volunteer to cook meals to distribute food and join advocacy to invest in better food systems in poorer countries, where 40% of the food losses occur after harvest for reasons like poor storage and transport. And also often consume food in time. It helps you to share food to those who are looking for some food. Often it happens that when we consume food inappropriately at inappropriate times, or delay times, by that time, the other people who were looking for the food might have consumed or might have looked for other opportunities to quench their thirst and satisfy their hunger. So this will also prevent the utilization of the leftovers. So by consuming food in time, you not only preserve your health and well-being, but also you will be able to contribute the leftovers to the one who are looking or to the one who are in need. Model self-care. It's simple. Take care of yourself. Stop work early. Go for a walk. Sleep until you wake. Plant a garden or do anything that gives you joy. You will be happier and healthy. Our hurried, frenzied world needs to slow down, and each of us can be a starting point. Make self-care a regular practice, and even if you are feeling under stress, you will be able to do better. Different pillars of self-care include mental, emotional, physical, environmental, spiritual, recreational, and social. Pick the ones that work best for you. Advocate for quality healthcare. Add your voice to the global call for universal health coverage and quality care that people can afford. Many civil society groups have taken care in greener or find an issue most important to you, like cancer or childhood vaccination or anything that is of your interest. The pandemic showed us healthcare, while getting better, still has far to go. Most health systems were unprepared, even as demands for care are growing. Now it's the time for public and private health systems to gear up. The world needs 10 million more health workers to keep up in the next decade and more. Understand and help reduce mental health stigmas. Many people will experience some kind of mental health concern at some point in their lives. Yet stigma means many of us will suffer in silence. The costs are tragic. Every 40 seconds, someone dies of suicide somewhere in the world. If you feel comfortable, be upfront with the friend and family members about your own mental health, just like you might with any another health issue. Speak up if you hear discouraging or discriminating comments and seek treatment if you need it. Educate yourself to be aware of mental health risks in yourself and those you love, and know what resources you can access for assistance. Champion accessibility and inclusion. Promoting an inclusive environment is an essential part of ensuring the rights of every person. Globally, 1.3 billion people, about 16% of the population, have some form of disability, not all of which are obvious or easy to see. Yet persons with disabilities are often subject to discrimination and exclusion. You can make a difference. Advocate for inclusive, accessible space, whether physical or online. And when you witness any form of discrimination anywhere, speak up. Most countries have committed to human rights standards and translated them into national laws, such as by guaranteeing rights to health and education and establishing protections against gender-based violence. Learn what human rights instruments your country has ratified and get involved with calls to implement and monitor them. One starting point might be your own locality. Some municipalities have applied international standards to local laws. Actions for a better economy. The Sustainable Development Goals takes us to economies that serve people while pressing the planet. Governments steer economies as a whole, but millions of individuals' actions count too. Act for a better economy next time you make a purchase, cast a vote, or even perform a household task. Donate to charities. From food banks to job training, many organizations exist to help people move past difficulties that otherwise trap them in poverty. Choose your cause and give generously. You can donate money as well as time, clothes, books, food, or other essentials. While worldwide philanthropy amounted to $550 billion in 2022, that's still only a tiny share of the global economy. Charity increased during COVID-19 pandemic, helping each other out, definitely a trend to continue. Mentor young people. A good mentor who shares experience or stops listen can change lives for better. Spend a couple of hours a week or a month mentoring your peers or someone younger. Mentoring offers many benefits, helping people to gain knowledge and self-confidence and set goals. It can be a game changer for young people crossing into adulthood and wrestling with major choices such as where to work and when to start a family. Become a union member, advocate for better work, create a union, cast a vote, advocate for equal pay for equal work, or join a movement for economic justice. The options are many to take and a stand for a better work. Jobs with low pay and poor conditions are the norm for over half of the workers in the world. Instead of gaining a better life, and despite their efforts, people end up trapped in the poverty. Societies as a whole remain unequal and less productive than they could be. Your chance to step up for a better economy comes with the next time with your tip or pay someone, perform a task, pay fair tips and wages. Everyone should have a living wage so that they don't skimp. Wealth inequality has reached epic levels, with the richest 10% of the global population owning 76% of the global wealth. The bottom 50% gets owns 2%. Don't worry if you aren't a billionaire, every bit counts towards more fair and inclusive economies. Buy from employee-friendly business. Most people work in the private sector for firms large and small. Employees are where decent labor practices begin, like paying men and women equally or providing adequate paid leave. Think about the business you patronize. If you can speak with the people who work there or check for websites where employees rate employees, ask if your business have made a public commitment to fair labor standards and acted on it. Buy goods and services from those that can demonstrate decent treatment. Purchase fair trade products. Know where the goods come from and how they are produced, and make buying choices accordingly. Different forms of fair trade certification help guarantee that production happens accordingly without exploiting workers or destroying the environment. Through a fair trade, you can help send resources to people in poorer countries, lending support to a more inclusive global economy. Green your tourism. Now that tourism is booming after the pandemic, choose options that apply sustainability standards, such as to protect ecosystems and minimize waste. Look for the trips where local communities gain economic benefits while conserving nature and safeguarding cultural sites. You won't be alone. Over 2/3 of the travelers now say they want to see the world sustainable. Ecotourism globally has become a billion-dollar business. Join the circular economy. Reuse products rather than tossing them out. And your clothes out of date electronics and scrap metal can all have a new life. Reuse can reduce the extraction of natural resources and pressures on the environment from piles of garbage. Action has to happen fast. Right now, global extraction of raw material tops 100 billion tons a year, and demand for natural resources exceed the planet's ability to keep up by a factor of 1.75. Only 8.6% of the materials consumed end up being used. Use green building materials. Make your home a center of sustainability. Next time you plan a building project or even a minor repair, check the green credentials of the materials you use. Some species of wood are more sustainably harvested. For instance, environmentally friendly products for insulation include straw, wool, and even cast-off jeans. While you are at it, see where you can recycle existing materials, like refurnishing a wood floor instead of replacing it. Buildings and construction create an estimated third of the world's overall waste, plus almost 40% of energy-related carbon dioxide emissions. Do your fair share at home. Who cleans the house, makes the meals, and takes the kids to school? Women, mostly. They carry out these quarters of the world's unpaid care work. It's an unfair share that limits out their options to pursue work or education, or even just take some time off. If you are not doing your fair share, have a conversation about who can do what and how to strike a better balance. Finally, actions for a working together with the world, or for a world working together. Our common future depends on working together to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. Each of us can head divisions and embrace peace and understanding. We can call on our families and communities to do the same. Learn, volunteer, practice, respect. Make new friends, be the change you want to see. Report harassment. No one should have to suffer harassment on the basis of gender, race, place of origin, or any other parameter. While harassment remains widespread in public and private places, online and offline, more laws to stop it are in place. A growing number of companies and other institutions are aware of it and prepared to address it. Learn about mechanisms to report harassment and use them if you see or experience it. Online restrict information shared on social media accounts and use privacy and security settings. In some settings, police forces have cybercrime units that can help you stay safe. Protest discrimination. Speak up for a fair world through the media, online, or even in everyday interactions. Pick your favorite cause and join a rally for justice. Bring together friends and colleagues to mark the World Day of Social Justice or other commemorative events or days. Other internationally recognized days offer chances to join hands against gender discrimination, racism, and homophobia, among a variety of concerns. Above all, make respect for the rights of others. Above all, make respect for the rights of others part of how you live. Avoid discriminatory speech or actions and understand that all forms of discrimination are wrong and unfair, not just ones against your group or a set of concerns. Practice solidarity. More unites us than divides us. People everywhere have similar dreams for peace and prosperity. With so many common challenges like the climate crisis, polarizing disagreements will only make things worse for everyone. Do your part to heal divides. Voice your support for the United Nations as the only place where all countries can convene and engage with each other. Take part in the local and national dialogues where people can talk together even if they disagree. Join interfaith efforts for peace and support people or organizations working with the most vulnerable communities. Keep an eye and keep an open mind. Examine how you think about different groups of people and question assumptions and stereotypes. Consider joining a group online or in a community that brings people together across faiths, ethnicities, gender, identities, or other categories to better understand each other. Become an active listener, open to learning from others and changing how you think. Support your workplace, community, or school in looking for ways to embrace human diversity and value different human perspectives, skills, and experiences. Seek diverse friendships. Friendships with someone from a different background or community can bring you into their world so you can understand their perspectives and challenges wrong assumptions. Over a meal or playing sports, you might even find that you have more in common than you think. We all pick up wrong beliefs about others from our societies, none of which are completely free from discrimination ideas. Stereotypes and stigma thrive on a lack of contact, perpetuating division and conflict. Learn about a different culture. Take regular journeys into other human experiences by learning about diverse cultures, virtually or in person. If you can't travel sustainably, besides building respect and empathy, learning about other cultures can be a fun chance to experience new forms of art, food, dress, and more. Your world will feel better and richer, and you might gain useful skills, such as to better perform certain jobs or to navigate interpersonal dynamics. Study a new language. Spend a few minutes a day learning another language, and you might be surprised by how quickly you pick it up. You can always use an app or online translator to manage language barriers, but keep in mind that language determines how we think and interpret the world. Learning a new one is another window into how others live. If you like to travel, speaking local language is a sign of respect that can build bridges and make new friendships. Follow reliable news sources. Confused about what to believe and whom to trust? You are not alone. The volume of incorrect information has exploded. Sharpen your skills to detect who may or may not be telling the truth. Are you getting the facts from a reputed news organization or from text or emails that arrive unsolicited? How much evidence backs up what they say? What's missing and why? Are diverse perspectives apparent, or is everyone saying the same thing? Cultivate your skepticism and your intuition. If something feels off, investigate more. Post with care on social media. Next time you want to like or share a social media post, pause for a moment. While doing so, cause any kind of harm to anyone. If you are feeling angry about an issue, wait 24 hours. See if you still want to post about it. While social media brings people together and drives movements for positive changes, it is also a fountain of hate and division, driven by algorithms that reward people for having the same extreme views. Beyond monitoring your own posting habits, see if you want to join one of the emerging national and regional neutral non-profit fact-checking organizations, especially around important events like elections. Mobilize for the Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 goals are blueprint for a better future, from the clean water to health to a decent jobs. They cover the issues that concern everyone. Check the Global Sustainable Development Goal Indicators database to get a sense of how your country is doing on the goals. All UN member states have committed to achieving them. So if you find gaps, call on local and national officials to step up an action. You can also volunteer for causes that support individual goals and campaign foreign aid for poorer countries struggling to make progress. A sustainable future for all is within reach. We must act for sustainable development goals. Come together and unite for a better tomorrow. Let's unite to act. The Global Week to Act for SDGs from 15th to 25th September is a global mobilization taking place during the high-level week of UN General Assembly in September to show the world leaders that people all around the world are committed, dedicated, and inspired to take action on the SDGs. This year's mobilization focuses on key themes of climate, peace, gender equality, inclusion, and sustainable food systems as the global community comes together to mark the midway point of the SDG agenda. We need new solutions, new approaches, and a renewed effort to unite to act for SDGs across borders, to show that our choices and individual actions matter, and to communicate collectively that we are a massive force that can bring about transformational change and reach for a better future. The power is in our hands to make the sustainable development goals real. We, the people, have the power to tell and live a story that literally will save us and the world. 1 billion targeted actions by 2030, 142 million plus actions taken around the world, 1,768 organizations involved in 2022, 191 countries involved. Working towards sustainable development goals. So with this, we shall conclude the session. If anyone has registered for any presentations, because this was a very short notice, you can share your details in chat box. If there are no further, then we shall conclude it today. Hope you all have gained good insights into how various organizations like United Nations and how we ourselves can contribute to the peace and sustainable development. And also, when we look at various belief systems like Sanatana Dharma, which advocates Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, world is one family, where we all belong to one family, that promotes brotherhood, sisterhood, and take care of each other. So it is very important for such concepts like Sanatana Dharma, where there are various concepts like worship your own, but respect all, and treat everyone with dignity, respect, and also charity without business, and various other concepts that are imbibed in Sanatana Dharma or various other belief systems, and also conservation, protection of nature and environment, and One Health concepts where animal health, planet health, and also human health are part of the One Health, and various other concepts helps us to contribute to this promotion of peace and well-being of all, especially following a system that promotes universal peace and harmony, and especially having peace within ourselves is very much important. When we are with peace with ourselves, we are at peace with others. If we are not at peace within ourselves, with ourselves, we are always in conflict with ourselves and also the world around us. So it is very important to start the peace from ourselves. I am the peace. You are the peace. We are the peace. So let's be in peace by promoting peace and harmony within ourselves, around us. We'll be contributing to the peace across the world. If you have any queries or clarifications or observations on this presentation, you can share it in chat box. The feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. We request everyone, those who have attended, to register and also share your feedback, which is mandatory for the certificate. The feedback form has been raised in the form of polls and quizzes in Zoom platform, within the platform. We request everyone, before leaving the platform, to quickly fill up the feedback form, and also, if not registered, register for the seminar. The registration link has been already shared in the chat box. We are sharing it once again. And the feedback form in the form of polls is active. We request everyone to quickly fill the feedback form before you leave the platform. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining us on this occasion. Of International Day of Peace. We express our gratitude to everyone for joining us and for your valuable time and resources and for your patient listen. So thank you, everyone. We request once again everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls before you leave the platform. And thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Certificates can be downloaded from the website, which has been shared in the chat box and also in the registration form. The registration form you filled has all the details, which a copy of the details along with your filled data has been sent to your email address. You can later visit the website and download your certificates. Certificates will be available in a week's time for all those who have completed all the formalities like registration, participation, and provided feedback. You can download participation certificates from the website in a week's time. And there are also a series of seminars coming up. You can visit website and register for each seminar so that you can be eligible for the e-certificate. So thank you once again, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Daily we have webinar series, and on important days we have seminars, conferences. Keep joining with the same link at the same time, 6 o'clock every day. Take care. Good night.